December 7th, 1941, 7:48 a.m. Over the still waters of Pearl Harbor, the Hawaiian sun is just beginning to rise, burning gold across a cloudless sky. Sailors aboard the USS Arizona yawn over breakfast, coffee cups clinking in the mess hall. Church bells echo faintly from the harbor's edge. It's another quiet Sunday, or so it seems. Then, faint at first, the low drone of engines begins to build. Every few seconds, the sound grows louder, fuller, until it rattles the windows and vibrates in your chest. A young signalman squints toward the northern horizon. Dozens of black dots pepper the sky, moving fast, too fast. Must be army planes from Hickam, someone mutters. They aren't. Moments later, the rising sun flashes off metal, red suns painted against silver wings. The realization hits like a shockwave. The first torpedo planes drop from the sky, skimming so low you could almost touch their bellies. The first screams echo across the harbor. At 7:55 a.m., the first bombs fall, a blinding flash. The deck erupts into fire and twisted iron. On the Arizona, 1 million pounds of ammunition ignite in an instant. The explosion tears the ship in half, hurling smoke and debris thousands of feet into the air. The blast can be felt miles away. A sailor later writes, "It felt like the world itself had cracked open." All around the harbor, chaos. Anti-air batteries open fire too late. Fighter planes swoop low, strafing decks, cutting men down as they run for cover. On the West Virginia and Oklahoma, men leap into burning water slick with oil. Some never resurface. The sky, once blue, now rages with fire and smoke. And through all of it, the Japanese pilots fly with mechanical precision, years of training reduced to seconds of devastation. Squadron leader Commander Mitsuo Fuchida circles above, looking down at history's hinge. His radio crackles, "Tora! Tora! Tora!" The signal that complete surprise has been achieved. At 8:10 a.m., another wave comes in. Bombs tear through hangars, destroy airfields, and flatten rows of P-40 Warhawks before they can even take off. Hickam Field is choked with flame and smoke. Across the island, civilians stare upward, frozen between awe and terror. You can almost hear it, and the sirens, the roaring engines, the sound of the world changing. By 9:45 a.m., it's over. The sky goes eerily quiet again, except for the hiss of steam and the crackle of fire on the water. The attack has lasted less than 2 hours. More than 2,400 Americans are dead. Battleships lie at the bottom of the harbor. The Pacific Fleet is crippled, and yet, somewhere in the haze of smoke, a new resolve is already hardening. Thousands of miles away, in a White House dimly lit by rain-soaked windows, Franklin Delano Roosevelt receives the call no president ever wishes to hear. He listens in, silence for nearly a minute. December 8th, 1941, 12:30 p.m. Washington, D.C. Rain streaks the White House. Windows as Franklin D. Roosevelt rehearses his words for Congress. His leg braces click softly against the floor as he moves behind his desk. In his hand is a single page typed in black ink, marked with small handwritten edits. At the top it reads simply, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Outside, the Capitol is surrounded by an ocean of people, ordinary citizens, office clerks, students, mothers with children on their shoulders. Radios blare news bulletins on every corner. Across the Pacific, smoke still rises over Pearl Harbor, but here, in the heart of the nation's capital, you can feel the air vibrating with something else, unity. Inside the House chamber, silence falls. The president begins to speak. His voice is steady, not angry, not fearful, but cold and deliberate. Each syllable sharp as a marching drum. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked. Every word lands like an artillery shell. Around him, seasoned congressmen stare straight ahead, jaws clenched. Members of the press furiously tap out notes. The nation, in these moments, crystallizing around a single purpose. In living rooms and diners across the country, millions lean closer to their radios. You can almost hear the hum of the tubes, the faint hiss between words. Some wipe tears. Others simply stare, hearts pounding. America, isolated yesterday and was now awakening to total war. Roosevelt finishes with 5 words that will define a generation. So help us God. The chamber erupts. Every member of Congress, save one, votes in favor of war. The galleries explode into thunderous applause. Outside, the crowds cheer as church bells ring across Washington. That same afternoon, telegrams flash across the Pacific. Admiral Husband Kimmel and General Walter Short, still surveying the ruins of Pearl Harbor. Receive new orders, defensive positions to be fortified, survivors to be accounted for, and every ship that can float to be made ready for action. Across America, enlistment lines stretch around city blocks. Boys no older than 19 clench fists and look at posters of Uncle Sam, factories that once built. Cars now prepare for tanks. Shipyards thunder with a new kind of energy. From the ashes of Pearl Harbor, the machinery of war begins to move. But for Japan, the celebration is short-lived. While Tokyo radiates with victory parades and cherry blossoms, deep within the imperial headquarters, Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto stares silently over a strategy map. He knows the truth before anyone dares say it aloud. They have awakened the very giant they hope to keep asleep. Fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve. Outside, in the Pacific night, American aircraft carriers like USS Enterprise and Lexington steam toward uncertainty. Somewhere on those rolling black waters, December 9th, 1941, from San Francisco to Boston, radios hum through static. The sound of Roosevelt's voice still echoes in the minds of millions. The question of yesterday and what now has already found its answer. Factories thunder to life. Recruitment centers overflow. America is no longer watching history unfold. It has become the engine of it. Across the Pacific, the Navy moves under blackout orders. Carriers like USS Enterprise and Lexington slice through a steel-gray ocean, their crews still shaken by the shock of Pearl Harbor, now hardened in silence. The smell of oil and salt water clings to every surface. Mechanics work beneath flickering red lamps, running fingers across bullet holes patched with steel. There's no music, no chatter, only the rhythm of engines, and the knowledge that this is the beginning of something vast. At naval air stations along the West Coast, pilots train relentlessly. The camera would catch them mid-run, helmets half-buttoned, climbing into cockpits before dawn, their breath steaming in the cold morning air. From now on, they aren't just pilots. They're avengers of Pearl Harbor. Every takeoff carries that unspoken weight. Factories that once built typewriters and sedans now echo with the clang of industry. Conveyor belts pour out mountains of steel, tanks, munitions, aircraft. Rosie the Riveter is not yet a poster, but already a reality. Thousands of women step into jobs never before open to them. Sparks fly, rivets drive, and the nation's rhythm transforms from hesitation to motion. In the streets, vigilance rises. Air raid drills sweep through coastal towns. The civil defense broadcasts demand blackout curtains and rationing discipline. Men march in makeshift training yards, while mothers line up at Red Cross stations, rolling bandages and writing letters to sons barely out of high school. America is mobilizing not just its military but its soul. Across the ocean, Japan celebrates. Lanterns light Tokyo. Parades roll through the streets. The papers hail the great victory. And yet, far from the fanfare, Admiral Yamamoto remains motionless in his study. Maps are spread before him. The arcs of American power calculations he knows too well. He murmurs to a colleague, "The blow was brilliant, but it was not enough." The shadow in his voice foretells the avalanche to come. In the Atlantic, Europe watches the unfolding tide. Churchill sends a coded message to Roosevelt. "We are joined. Your people and mine will march together to victory." At RAF bases, British pilots smile grimly. They understand. Reinforcements are coming. The United States and DOS industrial might will soon turn the tide that had once seemed irreversible. America at war. Civilians stop on street corners, reading names of lost ships aloud. Children collect scrap metal from the smoking ruins of Pearl Harbor to the crowded halls of Washington and the roaring factories of Detroit. A nation that had slept behind oceans is now wide awake.